Here is the season outlook for Purdue. In a word, good, really good for the Boilermakers, a team that obviously has had incredible success. Only Duke's won more games over the last 4 years. They bring back their top 4 scorers, including the reigning Big Ten Player of the Year in Braden Smith, who's the preseason Player of the Year as well. Trey Kaufman-Renn, Fletcher Lawyer, just a loaded roster. For Coach Matt Painter, who joins us now. And Coach, this is a team a lot of people are picking to win not just the Big Ten title. You're the overwhelming pick to win the Big Ten, but a team a lot of people are picking to win the national title as well. This is not unfamiliar territory for you. You guys have had huge preseason expectations several times here over the last few years. How do you handle it with your team?
Well, I think the summer has been great. I think that piece of the NCAA add in the summer allows you to work through some things. For us, we didn't have everybody there, but it was still good, kind of the back and forth. And then once you start the fall of getting things in, you know, we have a good front court, we have a deep front court, we have a good back court, and we have a deep back court. So, like, our margin of error is a little bit different unless we lose, like, key pieces because we have a lot of guys in there. I think role definition is going to be a big thing for this group because obviously we have the main pieces right there. We got to be a better defensive team. We have to be a better rebounding team, and I think we really helped ourselves by the people that we added in the spring and then also getting Daniel Jacobson back.
Tell me a little bit about how you deal with it internally. Like, how do you talk about winning the national championship? Is it something you break every huddle with national championship? Like, how do you?
Yeah.
What do you
I think
do?
it's more along the lines of them talking about it. You know,
Okay.
They write up on the board. They, you know, when things happen, you're going to have adversity. When things happen, is hey, did this help us become national champs or did this hurt us today? Like every little thing matters for it. But you got to collectively understand the big picture of things. That's why I brought up the piece of role definition. 2 years ago we talked about it, but we also talked a lot about coming off a horrific loss in the NCAA tournament. And so it just kind of piggybacked itself, and I think that's where I made a mistake last year is that we didn't talk about going to back-to-back Final Fours. And then when you see where we were like in December, you're like, they're a good team, but they're not a great team. And then at the end, like we didn't play well enough to win our league, but we improved and got better. And that's what our league will do. Our league will really, really help you. We get to the NCAA tournament, and we're right there with Houston because we weren't right there with Auburn in December. And that 3 months right there that we really improved and got better, but we should have talked it into existence. We should have talked about it more. So that was really something for me, a kind of a learning curve for a coach that you need to always do. Even though you might not be as strong, you can still be the 15th best team in the country and get to a Final Four now. Like, you know, before, like you didn't feel that way. And so for us, like now, hey, this is our goal. And the one thing that's cool about it is our seniors and our 3 main guys, like they've accomplished everything besides the national championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. So the league's going to be good. There's no doubt. Good balance. But you also, in preparation, to answer Dave's question, your non-conference schedule. Yeah. You have made it tough. And we talked about it for many years, playing different people, different styles, so
Yes.
you're ready for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, no question. Like we play Evansville, we play Oakland, we play Akron, we play Kent State, and a lot of people will look at things of that and say, well, you're not talking about, your high major teams. You're not talking about Memphis or Texas Tech or Marquette or Alabama or Auburn. But that's who you're going to face first if you have a good seed. Like that's who you're going to face first. Look what Oakland did in the tournament. Coach Campion, how great he's been, and so look what they did in the tournament 2 years ago. So like that is the challenges that you're going to have, but especially some of those neutral court challenges. We got to go back into Alabama after they came to us, but now we play Auburn neutral. We're going to play Memphis neutral. We're going to play Wake Forest or Texas Tech neutral, and that's what you want. You want those challenges.
I'm going to bring up, and I know you're proud of it, I got to come back for the reunion this summer, and I mean, it was just amazing. I hadn't come, and you had invited me.
Yeah.
Just didn't get a chance. Our guy Robbie Hummel went off and made a bunch of threes. But just talk about that and the pride that and what you've created. And again, I applaud you for keeping Coach Katie involved.
Right.
And it's special.
Yeah. Well, I think it started obviously. I'm fortunate because it was his blueprint, right? Not just for like coaching and teaching and things like that, but for a program. And he would always talk about that. Anybody can have a good team, but can you have a good program? Do you have discipline in your program? Do you graduate your players? But then do they come back? And that's what you'll see now. And now that's as great when you see the former players come back to see Coach Katie. We had 350 people, at my house, and they came back. And there was people there, and I'm like, hey, man, why didn't you come why don't you come out to the house afterwards? He goes, I was there for 3 hours. I couldn't get to you. And it was just, but it's just kind of special that like now, especially in today's world, like with everybody moving, like we do have a basketball family. And, you know, and for Coach Katie now at 89 years old, to be able to see all those faces or whatever, we had a guy that he was friends with come to practice the other day. I said, hey, go over there and talk to him. Like you got to tell him and get him going. And I said, because he loves talking about the, you know, the old times and everything. But it's a special deal. But have 2 coaches in 45 years is pretty cool. And it's cool for our players. It's cool for our players to see former Purdue basketball players and going to different, you know, walks of life and doing different things.
There were over 80 players back. I think the oldest one played in 57 or somewhere in there. And, I mean, you just think of that pride. And those guys love being there. And, you know, it was really special.
I want to talk a little bit about the guys you've got on this year's roster. And, look, everyone knows about Braden and Trey. And, I mean, it's an incredible group. But I think what a lot of people are excited about is the other pieces that you've gone out and gotten. Like you take 2 of the best players, maybe the 2 best players in the league, and then you augment it with some of these young faces. I mean, Omer Meyer had an unbelievable summer and is a great international player. Oscar Clough coming in, who's been a fabulous player at a mid-major level. Let's talk about Meyer first. Like, how does he fit in with Braden? Can you play him at the same time? Like, what does that look like?
You can play them both at the same time. He's really learning there. He's been a ball-dominant player, so learning to play with him also. Obviously, we have Jakari Harris and C.J. Cox there, too, competing for that. Oscar Clough gives us that rebounder. Second in the nation in rebounding. We weren't a great rebounding team. We weren't very good defensive field goal percentage for 2s, and didn't have rim protection, which Daniel will help us with. But Omer he'll do a great job. He's learning a lot right now, but he's played at a high level. He played for Maccabi Tel Aviv. He played in the 18 and unders. He played in the 19 and unders. So he's had a lot of success.
What would be one area that you need to get better now in this next stretch as you prepare for the season?
Containing the dribble. Keeping the ball out of the paint. I think sometimes as coaches, like, you emphasize something offensively and then you take away from it defensively. Like, we want to live in the paint offensively, just like every other team, but you want to keep the ball out of the paint. We've played in a drop a lot because of our size, and then you just can't be a no middle, no paint team and you're in a drop because you're allowing it in there. Even though they could get to their runners and floaters that you want, you're still allowing in there. So we've just tried to be more aggressive this summer and the fall in our ball screen defense, trying to get the ball out of there. But we just can't be in help all the time. Like, you just can't be orchestrating everything and you're just helping constantly. You got to be able to keep the ball in front of you and make people score over you.
One of the guys who will be difficult to score over is Daniel Jacobson. And I remember you telling me, we were talking at one point last year after he got hurt, and we were talking about the struggles you'd had on the interior and defense. You say, hey, we lost our rim protector. I mean, we were counting on him. Now you have him back. He had a nice summer internationally. I mean, he got to compete. It wasn't like he was out all summer. Quite the contrary. He's playing really high level.
Right.
For people who might have kind of forgotten that you had this 7'4" guy coming in the program, give us a sense for him.
And it's really good for us because both of those guys are going to play, and they battle each other. You know, Oscar is more physical. Oscar's a low post guy. Daniel's longer. Daniel's more of a flip-up lob type guy. And so his ability to change shots, he does a lot better when we play in games and scrimmages than he does in practice. But Oscar's really held him accountable, and he's held Oscar accountable.
At different times, are you going to play big? Are you going to play small?
Yeah, we'll play with TK at the 4 a lot. He's done really well. We've really worked on our pocket pass with a 4 guarding him, a quicker guy guarding him, and really playing that mismatch. And I like that. I like the post up with that 4 and then dealing with that 5 weak side to be able to get rebounds. Oscar will be a guy that post up some, and that's been our difficulty. Like, Fletcher Lawyer has been very, very efficient as a player, and he's been our 3rd usage guy. And sometimes you go back and, like, we got to get him more threes. We got to get, and so getting that balance to where Braden and TK will have a lot of usage, but also Fletch, and the other big guys, and just, and having great balance. But it's awful hard to get when somebody gets hot. When somebody gets hot, you try to go to them.
You know what they call this, Matt? They call this nice problems to have.
Yes. Yeah. No doubt.
Matt Painter, head coach of the Boilers. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
As we take a look at the schedule ahead for Purdue, Matt ran through the whole thing. I don't know if there's anything that I can say other than here it is. You see all those great non-conference games, and man, there are some fabulous ones in November and December. Some of these marquee games in the Big Ten. Obviously, the games with Indiana are always huge. Going out west to take on the Bruins is going to be one of the most anticipated games of the year in the Big Ten. There is lots to talk about, Andy, and that's because there is massive star power on this roster, and you are with a couple of those superstars right now.
Yeah, and actually there is a game we could add. Kentucky, exhibition. So there's no question that they are not shying away from anyone, whether it counts or doesn't. Andy Katz, Raphael Davis, Trey Kaufman-Renn, and the reigning Big Ten Player of the Year, Braden Smith. First off, Braden, you have a chance, both of you have a chance, obviously, to go to another Final Four. You have a chance to do something that's pretty remarkable, which is win back-to-back Big Ten Players of the Year, and the school could do it 4 straight years with 2 different players, Zach Edey and yourself. Take a step back and think about what that says about not just you and Zach, but this program that you play for.
Yeah, no, I think it speaks a lot about who Purdue is and the culture that we have and the players that come through Purdue. I think it's a big deal, obviously for me and for people that have won it in the past. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, like our main goal is to win. So that's what we're focused on, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Trey, losing to UConn 2 years ago, I mean, you guys have seen it all. But how much did that drive you guys, not just last year, but now both of you guys coming back, Fletcher coming back, to try to get back there again and take that final step?
Yeah, I think it's the combination of, figuring out, like, knowing that you can get back, you're talented enough to get back, but also watching, the confetti drop for another team when you're at that level. And as a competitor and, watching that happen was, one of the most emotional things that could happen at that moment. And so that combination of things really, keeps us motivated every day in practice.
Now, I've been a part of Purdue basketball since I was 14. I've been a part of Purdue basketball with Coach Painter, committed at 15. And he said something that I had never heard him say a couple weeks ago. He said this is his best roster, this is his best chance to win a national championship. Is that something that you guys talk about in the locker room? Does it add pressure, or is it something that you guys embrace?
I think it's definitely something that we embrace, and we believe them. The entire team, you look at our depth, you look at our talent, you look at our personality, the culture that we have. I just can't see, when I look at the landscape of college basketball, I can't see another team that has everything that we have and everything that we have going for us this year.
What's interesting is I think you guys, and throw Fletch in there as well, you've experienced it all. I mean, because you were on the doorstep of winning a title after a year of losing in the first round. So all these expectations of you could win it again, get back to the Final Four. You guys have all experienced being a top seed and not even getting out of the first round. How much have all of these experiences fueled and maybe to some degree humbled this team?
Yeah, just like you said, I mean, we've seen everything, the ups, the downs, the in-between. So I think being able to go through something like that as a team, like losing in the first round, like being able to have that experience, understand the work ethic that we had that summer after and what it took that whole next year with that bullseye on our back in a sense, and getting back to that spot that we want to get to of reaching the Final Four in the national championship game. And obviously last year was a heartbreak, how we lost the Sweet 16 because we all thought that we should have won there. And so after that, I mean, being able to see that and understand that, like, okay, like it's possible and we're capable of doing so, it's definitely what we think about every single day.
So, look, history lesson. I go back to when I played at Purdue. My sophomore year, we finished last place in the Big Ten. That next offseason, Coach Painter brings in 2 Navy SEALs, and they are crazy. But then we turned our season around. We finished top 3 in the conference. He did it again this year. I saw you guys training with the SEALs, out there carrying trees, in the sand pits. What did that activity, what did that group camaraderie, what did it mean to you guys? What did you take away from it? And how could you use what you learned in that to kick it on and get to a national championship?
Yeah, I think it was more just spending time with the guys. I think that was the biggest thing. Like, obviously, like, you guys experienced it in your time of all the stuff that you do with carrying the logs, doing hard stuff together and being able to push through and kind of figure out how to talk and communicate with each other to achieve those things. And I think that was just the biggest thing for us. Like, we stayed at Mackey for 2 nights, like, without our phones, like, without everything, sleeping bags, sleeping on the floor. So, like, for us, like, part of it sucked because, like, you're sleeping on the floor and no phones in this generation. Like, it's different. But I think that brought us closer together and understood, like, how we can communicate with each other, how to spend time together. Like, when stuff gets tough, we know how to communicate and talk through it and be like, all right, like, we can hold each other accountable and be successful in really anything that we do.
One thing, and if you could both chime in on this, and this is me from afar. I'm not there on the day-to-day, obviously, but you guys have both seen college athletics change during your career. Now there's money and all these things, and I don't sense that you guys have changed, despite all these amenities that have come your way, and rightfully so, over the last couple of years. Why is that?
I think it's I have this discussion all the time with people, back where I'm from, and they ask me all the time about the landscape of college basketball as far as the NIL and the transfer portal. And I think the biggest thing is that when you look at our culture that we have here, and you actually live it, you don't see it from the outside. When you actually live it from day to day, it's not a culture that you want to leave because you're not going to get one that's as good as it. And so, like when you compare it to a normal job, if you're in a great situation, you love going to work every day, your family's in the right spot, just because somebody else may offer you a little bit more money or, better location, nicer, whatever, it's not going to persuade you to go there versus staying at home.
Both of you guys, small town kids, grew up in small towns. I mean, my parents live in Noblesville. I know what Westfield is like. Now you're sitting here, coming off being the player of the year in the Big Ten, preseason player of the year. You were the only player in the country, Trey. 20 points a game, over 6 rebounds, over 59% from the field. What does this mean to you guys to be on the #1 team in the country, to be right here as leaders, coming from those small towns, not being 5 stars, not playing on those circuits, and you still got here to the ultimate goal?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is just understanding how far we've come. And like you said, like being from a small town and not really understanding like what it's like to be in a Final Four or to experience like the culture that we deal with every single day. Like not a lot of people get those opportunities. And I think for us, as I look back on it, like in these past 3 years, like it's been unbelievable and I couldn't ask for anything better. And being able to finally have that last shot at it and being able to accomplish something that only a very small amount of people can do, I think it's a big deal, and I think it's something that we're obviously capable of doing, but I think at the end of the day, like, we all just enjoy being together and kind of reach that for the same goal.
Yeah, and I would add to that, just as competitors, we like relish that. We love that, we're not, Braden can speak for himself, but he wasn't a super highly ranked player. I love being overlooked at times. Like, I love it because every single time I go in a game, I can have another chip on my shoulder, another reason to beat the other team and win the game.
2 all Big Ten players. I think 2 potential All-Americans. Braden Smith, reigning Big Ten Player of the Year. Trey Kaufman-Renn, all Big Ten. They're going to compete, actually, probably for the same award. The #1 team in the country, the #1 team in the Big Ten. Wow, we've done all 18 teams, players, and coaches, but we're not